Charges have been filed against Charlie Kirk's murderer, Tyler Robinson, among them aggravated murder, which is a capital offense, meaning you can get the death penalty. It is killing someone and causing great risk of death to others. In other words, endangering everybody else in the crowd. Felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury. Also obstruction of justice because he was moving and hiding the rifle. Disposing of clothing, witness tampering, trying to get his roommate to delete text messages and not talk to the police, etc. Among the things said today is that he became more political over the last year. They still haven't explained what radicalized him, meaning it's one thing to get more into politics. And by the way, they didn't explain what that meant either, by the way. But it's another to therefore decide to kill someone. That is an incredible leap from just becoming more political, right? A lot of us are political. That second thing does not cross your mind. So they still didn't explain that. What radicalized him? We don't know. They did confirm that his roommate, so he was dating a guy, still is, I guess. The guy is transgender, at least now is transgender, is transitioning to becoming a woman. So therefore, he was gay or bisexual. I also read an article that he was bisexual. His mother said that he became more political over the last year, pro-gay and pro-trans. That was interesting to me, because I heard that and I went, actually, hold on a second. I wanted to check my notes for exactly what the prosecutor said. His mom said over the last year, he became more political and started leaning more to the left. Leaning more, not became a huge lefty, started leaning more to the left. That sounds like he was at the right. And then started leaning a little more left. That was interesting. And her proof of him leaning more left was becoming more pro-gay and pro-trans. Well, he was dating a guy who was becoming a woman. So you'd think he probably was decently pro-gay and pro-trans. A Mormon mom from a MAGA family would, I would assume, would hear that. I don't know if mom knew. If mom knew, would hear that and go, our son has changed. He's become more liberal, right? At the very least, the son has become more pro-trans and more pro-gay in his speaking with the parents, even if they didn't know he was gay or bi or whatever. But that doesn't mean he's a liberal because he's come out and become accepting of himself, right? So we still don't know his politics. And by the way, they had nothing else on his politics for this whole thing. But there is more about why he allegedly did the shooting. Roommate says he gets a message from the alleged shooter after the shooting. And the alleged shooter says, drop everything, look under my keyboard of my computer. Lifts the keyboard, the roomie, and sees a note. The note says, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. The roomie says now, because this is after the shooting, says, you're joking. And he says, no, I'm not joking. The alleged shooter says, I'm okay. I've got to go grab my rifle still. This was because the rifle was ditched in the woods, according to the police. The roommate says, you're not the one who did it, though, right? And Robinson says, yeah, I am. That's pretty incriminating. The roommate asks him and says, why'd you do it? He said, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can be negotiated out. So that's what we know. Yeah, it is a political killing. It is. Did it for his views? Did it because the views were too hateful? That's not a good thing, as we've talked about. We talked about this at length. It's also very dangerous for the country because you get into a tit for tat of people thinking it's okay to kill people just because you disagree with them. And it's really not. But again, it's also really dangerous in terms of the fabric of the country, the future of the country, the future of our politics, of our culture, holding together as one nation. Just dangerous on so many levels. And dangerous, as we've seen in Washington, with all the stuff Trump is talking about doing now, with labeling liberal groups to be terrorist organizations, with banning hate speech, which the Attorney General last night said she was going to prosecute people for hate speech. There is no hate speech laws. She backed away on that this morning, because even conservatives didn't like that one. That's what we got. There's a lot of other little details here, but that was the really interesting part. They are saying, the experts are saying, they don't think that they're going to negotiate a plea with him because he could get a plea deal to not get the death penalty. This case is so high profile and there's such attention to it politically and everything else that the prosecutors probably wouldn't be able to get away with doing that because the public would freak, politicians would freak. I'll talk more about it on my show tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern, but that's it for now.